Hey everybody, what's going on? Rob Cesternino back with you for our Circle Week 1, Season 5 Roundtable. Excited to get into 4 episodes of The Circle here with you live on a Friday afternoon as we head into the last weekend of 2022. And so excited to be back here to talk some Circle here with this man who has been there every step of the way for The Circle on Netflix. It's Taran Armstrong. Taran, how are you?
I'm excited to be circling up to talk about The Circle on this Circle Roundtable. It's Circle exciting.
Okay. All right. Taran, good last week of the year?
It wasn't great. I was
Oh,
a little sick.
you feeling
Still a
better?
little sick,
Yeah.
but we're getting there.
Okay. All right. We are joined here by a woman who we'll find out if she knows anybody in this cast. Of course, it's Aysha Welch. Aysha, we're always blown away when you're here with us.
Hello. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When lately, like when the cast for shows drop, I look through just to see who do I know. But yeah, I don't know anybody in this cast, unfortunately. And I will say I was not looking, well, besides the Big Brother people, but I was not looking forward to the season whatsoever. When I saw that it was singles, I'm like, I just finished Too Hot to Handle. I don't want that vibe, but I actually enjoyed it. So I'm very excited to talk about it.
Aysha, do you feel like that Netflix, like, hey, people are really like Love is Blind. Well, this is Love is Really Blind. We'll make this we'll go all in on the Circle singles.
Yeah, exactly. I think they could have. I mean, and maybe we'll see it at the rest of the season play out, but I feel like they could have gone way cheesier with trying to play into the singles thing. But I'm glad that not everybody's actually single and it's still the Circle. So leave that to those other shows. I mean, they already aren't,
They know what they're
faring
doing.
well.
Is there a legitimate dating show that
No.
is like The Circle, that is like based on people maybe being catfish? I feel like there's an idea there that Netflix could do. I mean, we've seen some wild ideas.
I mean, I would say Love is Blind is probably the closest because they have to commit before they see them, but there's no promise of like, this is what the person looks like.
Yeah.
And then they're not.
Yeah, maybe people like personality catfish, but never like actually look look different or say they're different. But maybe that's a twist for season 4. All right, and we're so happy to have back with us. This is my second podcast today with this woman, one half of the Mess Magnets, and podcasting with you is never like podcasting with a broken pencil. Sasha Joseph, Sasha, how are you?
So excited. I agree with Aysha. I have 3 faves. I don't care about anyone else. So I'm just happy to talk about Sam, Chaz, and Raven.
Okay. Sam, Chaz, and Raven. Okay, I look up the names of the people. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Fun. It's fun. Yeah, it's the Circle season 5, and Taran and I got to talk about episode 1. So we did kind of a deep dive into what happened in that episode and the cliffhanger that left us there. 3 new episodes here to talk about as we get ready for another week of episodes coming to Netflix. We'll have full spoilers here of all 4 of the episodes from this week. So if you do are saying like, hey, well, hold on, I thought no. All the episodes this week, okay? And we'll take your questions as well here in the chat. Okay, Taran and I got to talk earlier this week. Aysha, how do you feel about week 1 of The Circle?
I was pleasantly surprised how much I enjoyed it because I think I was a little low on the past couple of seasons because it was just like you liked a couple. Well, me, I liked a couple people, but then for the most part, I was like, okay, what are y'all giving? Not much, right? And so this season, I feel like the cast has good chemistry, as much chemistry as you can have over a screen. And I feel like you have some pretty dynamic personalities, like people that I care to kind of check in on and kind of hear their thoughts. I mean, shout out to Paris. Like the fact that Raven's interpreter is just full of personality and just like he has more personality than some people on previous seasons. So it's just like,
and maybe this season.
Maybe this season too, yeah. So I'm enjoying it, and I like that they're trying, some different things. I'm not sure if like if they're pulling some of that stuff from like the other versions, but I'm glad that we're not just sticking to the same script.
Yeah. And Sasha, other than your 3 faves, what'd you think about the first week?
I felt like it was good, as in the bar was very low. So when I when I started watching, I was like, "Oh, here we go. I guess we have to." It was fine. My 3 faves are carrying, I feel, and we're kind of giving the supporting cast is giving, like, the chat is loving Marvin, and you know what? I feel like this is his show. I think he finally found a show that he should have been on the whole time. It wasn't Big Brother, baby. Not for him. He's giving big himbo energy, and I actually like it. I like it.
Okay. Taran, what'd you think about the rest of the week?
I liked episode 2. I feel like for me, I feel like the first week of the Circle, at least in the US, is always a little slower. I tend to get into it more in the second week, and I think that's because like you just like you need a little time to like dig in. The strategy, so to speak, doesn't really mean anything in the first week, especially when you think about like how the ending works. So like none of that really matters. You're just looking for like the connections that people are making, and when like 3/4 of the connection conversations that are happening are like, well, I'll teach you a thing or two. It's like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
So I do think there's some fun cast members. I think there were some good like connecting conversations, and a couple of funny jokes here and there. But I'm definitely hoping to really get into the meat of it here in the second batch.
Yeah, I hear you on all these flirting conversations, like, you know, especially when it's not even like genuine on people's parts. Like, I think that, like, first off, that tell me if this is a hot take, or maybe it's a recycled take, but I feel like that COVID really ruined the Circle. Like the first time that we watched it, it was like, ooh, this is novel. And then we like did this for like in real life for like a year and a half. And like, why am I watching people sit in their apartments and not leave? And so I feel like that really, for me, the novelty is off the rose on the Circle. Not to mention, like, the Circle seasons themselves are all like feeling like very repetitive.
Yeah, the repetitive thing is something that I've been seeing, and it's something that I definitely have felt. I think that the formula for the Circle is just not quite there for like as many seasons as we're getting, I think, in the short time that we're getting. And so you really do have to like have really standout cast members, which I think we have a couple here. Yeah,
for sure. But Sasha, do I need the dancing montage like 5 times every season?
Yeah, and I think again because we got a spring break party, but a whole
why
it didn't even make sense. I was like, are they going to play a party game? You know, it was so random. Like they had stuff, but in this one definitely felt like the most random party, because I was on record last time saying I don't mind parties, but this time take it back.
Yeah,
because it's like they have to have an idea for when this is going to air, I would think. And so if like spring break was relevant while they were filming, okay, but like we should have had a holiday party, you know?
Yeah, I don't know if they're like planning that far in advance. Who knows what goes on when they are going to air these episodes? But yeah, other than that, like I feel like that there are still like moments, like it's exciting when stuff is happening, but I just feel like that there is like if this was like 4 episodes, I think it could have been 2.
I'm kind of with you on that. I feel like a big part of it, especially with the US version, there's less episodes, because I feel like the UK version pretty universally was considered to be better, even though it got canceled. It had more episodes, and I think it also focused more on like relationship building. The US contestants tend to be more strategic, and like I love strategy, but I do think that on the Circle, the format doesn't suit a strategic approach. And I think the contestants are sometimes too strategic. And that makes the show less interesting, which is a weird thing for me to say. But I just think that like the Circle, like being strategic only goes so far. And what we really want to see in the UK version of the show that like fostered this format, like is designed
Right.
to foster, is like genuine like connections and drama and like who likes who and who's actually popular, and not just like I'm just gonna kiss butt in every single conversation.
Yeah, the circle should be more of a vibe than an actual game.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if there needs to even be a prize. You got to be on TV. That's it.
I don't think you're getting much clout from the circle.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe like tell some of the people that are there, but you know, what are you gonna do? All right. Let's take some of the headlines of the week. Taran, when you and I last spoke, we didn't know who was going to be blocked, if it was going to be Xanthi or Sam. It was Xanthi, as we suspected. Brett and Xanthi were going to end up moving in one place. We were talking about would this be fun or not? What is your verdict on Brett and Xanthi teaming up?
I can't tell you how disappointed I was that it wasn't Sam. It should
Oh.
have been Sam in there with Brett. It would have been so much funnier. Granted, I do think Sam is funny on her own, but like forcing Sam and Brett together, I think would have been excellent television. Brett and Xanthi together, I think they complement each other well. I think they're a good pairing for like what they're trying to do, but it's not like I'm like leaping off my screen every time I see them.
Sasha, their dynamic is like very uninteresting, Brett and Xanthi.
There's a reason they got voted out. You see what I'm saying? And Taran, I feel like I see what you mean about Sam, but the point is I need them to go home. So I will never wish that on Sam, because Brett, I didn't like him from jump, right, from his other show that he did. So I don't like him. And then he shows up and he's like, these chicks are gonna come into my DMs. Who are you? You're one of 10 hot guys on said show. You're not even the only shirtless dude on the show. And then he keeps like being so offended that other people don't like him when he doesn't like them. So, and I can't. So Xanthi is fine. She's there. Like, she gives me nothing to hate on. And I'm sad that she's with Brett, but they can go. They can go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with y'all's point, thinking that Sam and Brett would have been entertaining. However, that's because of Sam. Sam is amazing. She is so funny. I love every time she's on the screen, because you don't know what she's about to say or what she's about to do. I could watch her all day. She's so, I hope she starts some YouTube videos after this, because I will watch. I definitely will watch. Go live. I'll watch it. But
tell us the poop angel story.
No, I'm good, actually. I don't want to hear that again.
I feel like I got that story.
It's a joke.
But I feel like Brett and Xanthi have zero chemistry. And I feel like when they had this idea in mind, thinking, oh, this is singles, it might be a situation where the two people that are this new profile are interested in each other. And they're not giving that at all. And so, okay, if they don't have that, then are they at least going to have like good banter? No, they're just, one takes over when the other doesn't want to take over. And I just feel like when we watch them, it's just like, come on, let's block Jennifer. That's what I'm rooting for at this point, because I'm not getting anything out of their duo.
Well, I will say that while I don't think that Brett was good at the circle on his own, he got in, got blocked immediately. I do think that he is at least, and the relationship with him and Xanthi also is bringing nothing. That somehow this two-headed monster, I do think, is bringing something to the show, in that they are somewhat of an antagonist of at least trying to create some waves, as we saw in later on in the week when they created the dating profile for Raven. I feel like that they are trying to create some chaos at least.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because it sort of seems like the way they're operating is that Xanthi is kind of doing most of the conversation stuff, and Brett is kind of doing most of the sort of like strategic, like, this is what we should be doing.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's working really well for them. You can definitely see kind of like the big brother experience in Brett, like trying to operate on a strategic level. I think he's generally thinking in the right terms. I think they kind of have like a tall task in front of them as Jennifer. But I think I agree. That is at least giving me something that like the other catfish definitely weren't.
Yeah, I think that Brett has had some good reads in terms of like some of the people and like how people are being perceived. So I feel like that I don't think that there's a lot of like charisma there, that their relationship is super uninteresting, but at least like I think that they are bringing some intrigue in terms of how they're playing the game. They play as Jennifer, who is a new member of the circle that gets added. Okay, Sasha, any thoughts on Jennifer as a identity in the circle?
I mean, the amount of times they've talked about Jennifer's looks, right? Like, we get it. She's attractive. But I like them as Jennifer. I am surprised how good they're doing, I have to say, because I just felt like they're either going to go too hard or, not hard enough. But I think they're doing well. I think they're trying to make connections and they're playing on that whole auntie thing. So I think they're doing okay. I think I don't know. I just feel like Jennifer is such a interesting and boring thing at the same time where
Yeah.
I felt like they could have had a little bit more spicy profile that they could punch up more. Whereas I feel like Jennifer's easier.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I also feel like it's weird that we were able to call this twist, and it's weird to
Yeah.
me that
Yeah.
nobody else in the cast seemingly, and because maybe they are and we're just not seeing it yet, because the idea that two people got blocked and like this has been done exactly before, where those two people then go to a new profile and it's like an older person, and also two people supposedly went to go visit somebody, and then supposedly, theoretically, we didn't see it, but I assume nobody copped to being visited.
Yeah.
Like, how is this conversation not happening? That like somebody's going to be, so nobody got visited by them. Two people got blocked immediately, and then a new person got added named Jennifer, who's 51 years old. Does this sound familiar to anybody? I feel like maybe that might be Brett and Xanthi.
Okay, so this season got filmed in the fall of 2021, and I'm not sure exactly like how much Circle they would have seen. We know that at least in Circle season, was it season 2 or 3? I feel like that they did it late in season 2. Taran, does that sound right? That they paired people up?
These numbers run together.
Yeah. I was like,
for
oh my God.
Right.
Yeah, I think that
And last season too. No, I feel like it happened last season.
Well, I know I definitely didn't watch the 4th season, so it had to happen
I'm
before
pretty
this.
sure it happened, but
Yeah, 2 or 3. I can't.
think
It's a jumble
what's
mess.
also confusing is that in the 3rd season, there were the two sisters that were playing as one person, and then they were the first team to get blocked. Spoiler alert. And then they got recast as a new person, correct? So I think that might feel like it's the same thing as this, even though it was only one person that got blocked. I'm sure the chat will weigh in.
okay.
That's why I'm really.
I'm reading that because I was like, Rob, that can't be right. Fall of 2021, but that's what I'm reading. It's they filmed this over a year ago.
Yeah.
That's why Marvin thought it was fine. He's like, I filmed this a year ago. I
So
should be able
long
to
ago.
move on.
yeah, that
coming
makes
out.
sense for Marvin. Marvin needs to do classes on how to get cast on shows
Mhm.
Right?
because Mans is everywhere.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm wondering with Shuby's arrival, I'm wondering, will he get the opportunity to catch up? Like, what has happened so far? Can you give me the rundown? Then someone's like, oh, well, we had 2 people blocked right away. Then we had 2 people come in. Would he be able to clue in on, like, okay, could one of these people be a catfish or both of them?
mhm.
Maybe.
I think, yeah. In the preview for the next set, we do see Shuby being V strategic, right? Making lots of moves. So it could be that. But wouldn't they want to get Shuby out? Like, I would be like, okay, I already blocked those two. I'll get him
I think
again.
what we
Is
don't
Shuby
know is
going to be himself?
That's my question. But they don't know who Brett is either.
All right, well let's come back to Shuby because that's certainly another headline of the week. So Jennifer is playing, and we don't know if the players are super sus of Jennifer. We haven't seen anything about it on the show. Also, the great British comedian Tom is here. Sasha, how hilarious is Tom?
Tower Tom. It's enough. Like, maybe I don't get British humor, and that's on me. Fine, but he's a hit or miss. Some things he says, I'm like, that was cute. It's a chuckle, but he's honorable, so I get he's part of the royal whatever. So I guess we'll have to let it be.
He's part of the royal whatever.
He's honorable, and his dad's a baron.
Oh.
When Tom was like, I live at London Tower, Tower of London.
Yeah, please.
And people were just like, what's that? And he's like, you don't know the Tower of London? And then like didn't explain it because he figured only one person didn't know and everyone else still didn't know. I thought that was funny, but it definitely did not give a great first impression. I will say, he almost entirely won me over purely on the when they were showing the wild pictures at the party, and Brittany did one of her and her daughter, and he was like, that's not wild in any way unless that's not her daughter. Like, that was funny. I like that joke.
That was a good one.
Yeah, Aysha, do you feel like that Netflix in the algorithm, it's like, all right, we've got The Crown, we got Harry and Meghan. If we put Tower Tom in here, that's gonna do ratings.
They're trying to like close the loop, hit all corners. Yeah, probably. They're probably
we've got
thinking
the Great British Baking Show.
right.
I think we just had like a couple of leftovers from the Circle UK casting. They were just like, let's just plug them in there.
Like, Tom, we've got to get Tom on something. I think it's hard too coming in as a comedian because, like they said, hey, say something funny. He can't be funny on the spot. For one, I know this is very humble of me, but when I'm talking with friends, I know I can make friends laugh, right? But if I am texting a stranger, it's not going to hit the same. It takes knowing people and the vibe, and they have to know how you're saying something. So it's hard.
Yeah, it happens to me all the time when I tell people on my podcast. They're like, "Oh, really? Recap a show for me. Do one of those." Right. I'm like,
oh my god. I can't. I just think that Tower Tom should have lied and just said that he works at the Tower of London, and that should have been it. Because I looked him up because I was like, what's the deal? Because you're not in, no one can just live at Tower Tom at the tower. I mean, anyway, yeah, turns out his dad's a baron. Like, his dad got the lowest rank out of the 5. So, I felt like he should have just played
he's on
that.
the Circle. I didn't think his dad was super important.
I mean, there's a lot of earls and viscounts.
Is Tower Tom a Nepo baby?
100% a Nepo baby.
Yeah, more like Nepo baby Tom.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like as an American, I would find it way more interesting to talk about the Tower of London and all of that instead of like a comedian. But that's just me.
Okay. Aysha, how do you think he's doing so far?
I don't think he's doing bad. I think that he is kind of, realizing, okay, the fact that, Jennifer took him out on that date. I think he's realizing like, okay, I need to, because I'm a latecomer, I need to kind of figure out how we can play this, how we can get to know people and, make it worth my while. I'm interested to see him develop more relationships with people because I don't want him to just become like an afterthought and can easily be blocked because everybody else has strong relationships. But I don't think he's doing awful.
Okay. According to Jill in the chat, that Tom is in line to be the king.
Yeah, I mean, technically,
if he was like, if a catastrophe happened,
if a nuclear attack happened and somehow Tower Tom was underground in the Mariana Trench.
King Tom.
He's
then he
basically
becomes
Kiefer
King Tom.
Sutherland in
He's
Designated
the
Survivor.
Designated Survivor.
Yeah. But I think even that was higher than what Tom did. Maybe his dad as a Baron. No, Baron's the lowest of the 5, so no.
All right, so another big story this week happens to be that we had a blocking. Somebody went out after it was decided we had our rankings, and then ultimately it was either going to be Brittany or Bruno. And so unfortunately, we do have to talk about Bruno. And this, I'm going to lump this headline is like catfishes be bad at catfishing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's Granddaddy doing?
Yeah. Brian is catfishing as Brittany, and it wasn't working.
It's the same old story every season with the catfish, that they're too focused on playing a role that they don't end up like having any personality, and they don't open up. They don't have any like meaningful conversations, and it's immediately apparent to everyone that they're either catfish or they're just really boring people that don't open up. And either way, it's not great for them.
Yeah.
And I feel like both Brittany and Bruno were kind of falling into that. Granted, once they were both on the chopping block, I feel like they both made an attempt to open up, which was like nice, but it was too little too late, I think.
I feel like the catfishes who do the best are the ones that, okay, I am this profile, but I'm being me. Like everything I'm saying, because it's so hard to pull from a person. I don't know how people do it. Like people that catfish in like real life and completely separate their personality. It's just like, that's too much to draw from, and it's way easy. Like the circle is already hard in itself and navigating rankings and all these different things and trying to avoid a block. But like if you just are yourself, no one has to suspect that, because you can pull from anything you want. You just have the different face.
I feel like that we see so much of the circle. There are two types of catfish on the circle. There is like, I'm just so basic and sad, and I miss my family, and going back to the first season, the guy who was supposed to be his girlfriend, who he's, oh, I'm just so shy, I'm so nice.
Yeah,
and
Rachel.
Yeah. There's that, or there is like, I'm horny AF and I'm here to party. Don't even out of context, okay? Don't out of context me today.
Do it, Josh.
That's it.
God.
And it's like the most obvious thing to see through. It's like, all right, who's being like the most like aggressively promiscuous for no reason?
Yeah.
Or like, who's the person that's saying nothing and like, oh, it's look, a picture of my family.
What I would love to see on a full season of The Circle is everybody is a catfish, and like everybody doesn't know it.
Can I give an alternative proposal? How about Circle season 6? Oops, no catfish. No catfish. That's the theme this season.
Who cares? Here's the thing. We've
just get rid of them.
But it doesn't. Why should it matter? If for Raven, right, this person, Brittany, is an ally, why should I let them out? Like, stop trying to be a catfish hunter, especially Brian, right, that was playing Brittany's dad. Why do you have a catfish type of shirt on? It makes no sense. Just own it. You're a catfish. Who cares? As long as you're on my side, I don't care. You can be a Martian as long as you're not gonna vote me out. If you're an influencer, that's it.
Yeah.
Stop worrying about catfishes.
But,
you're not Neve.
That the people that are doing the catfish are like acting weird because they're catfishing. Like Brian would have done much better if he just came into the circle as Brian.
I agree. Brian seemed like a sweetheart. Like when he interacted with Raven in person, I was like, oh, he seems so nice. Like I would have loved to see Brian on the circle.
Beast mode cowboy.
I think there's still a way for this to work. I just think there need to be actual consequences to being a catfish.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that they pick it though. y'all. Like, I think the production sometimes tells them they have to be a
it's
catfish.
you can't always blame the person.
Yeah, I'm just
ultimately
saying.
production is gonna get you the way they want you. But like the way the reason I think the catfishing worked really well in the first few seasons of this show were that there were these like very weighty relationships, and you had people that felt really guilty about faking who they were when they were making these genuine connections, and people were really upset when they found out they weren't who they said they were. Now on the Circle, I think most of the attitude is either this like weird, like, I'm a catfish hunter and it doesn't matter, or I don't care if you're a catfish, it doesn't matter to me in any way. And so like I feel like you need to add back in that like consequence to there being catfish, maybe with a new element of the game where like if a catfish makes it to the finals, like you're taking money away from people or something, like, you know, like some kind of thing that makes the catfish actually feel bad about being a liar. And some reason for people to be worried about people being catfish. That would add at least, you know, I think you either go in Rob's direction and just remove it entirely, or you make it more worth having. That's my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because even they had that one season where the girl was a catfish and then she realized, I don't need to be a catfish anymore, and became her real profile and like revealed that to everybody. So it's like it's so inconsequential at this point that I guess it has stopped being as entertaining as it once was for us.
Yeah, because there are like two things going on simultaneously. Is that there's this game that somebody is going to win, which is kind of like a popularity contest, but it's also a popularity contest that is also like completely out of whack because nobody really understands how the popularity contest works in terms of the voting. And then also like people are also like playing like a mafia / like Among Us game also, where it's like, okay, every round are we trying to block the person who's the most likely to win the game, or are we trying to block the person who's a catfish?
Yeah.
And it should be one or the other.
I agree.
Zen need answers. Okay.
Like when there's no catfish in the game, then, you know, the people who aren't the catfish win, or like, you know, don't even worry about catfish.
Like at the end of the day, the core concept of the Circle is people interacting without seeing each other via text. And the game format is not a good one. Like it's never been the strength of the show. So I think they should feel more free to just like really experiment with all kinds of different formats for their game that would make things a little more interesting season to season, and give us more to play with the same basic concept of people in an apartment communicating via text. And I think that there's all kinds of things you can do with that.
Okay. So yeah, the catfish were struggling all week long. They ended up in the bottom. I guess should we talk about the some of the players that have done very well so far? Raven looks to be, you know, it's been a very strong week one. Taran, what is Raven getting on the stock watch this week?
I think it was good. I think she came out very strong. It's difficult to be the top rated player initially. You usually have some bounce back from that, which is kind of a good thing sometimes, but you're never going to really take away the image of you being a top dog, which is not a good place to be on the Circle generally. So I don't love that. She comes in second in the second ratings, which is still very high, and you can see that like Brett and Xanthi are kind of targeting her. But I think that Chaz coming in first place after being second the previous time will potentially help take some heat off of her. But then like even more than that, it really feels like there's been a pretty good core group of Sam, Chaz, Raven, and Marvin that are all just kind of rating each other high. And if they continue to do that, then it's going to be pretty difficult to stop them. So I feel like she might be in a decent position here if they can keep working that.
Yeah, Raven's really sweet. Like I love how she is, like with Brittany, with Brian, she just instantly, like one conversation just felt like, you know, felt that connection to Brittany. And I feel like she's very easy to talk to. And I feel like more people will realize that. And even though she's been an influencer twice, I could very well see her being one again, because the only people that kind of have that mindset of like, we need to knock her down is Jennifer, the Brett and Xanthi. So I'm like, I could see her doing well, but if the wrong people become an influencer, the people that are trying to be strategic and thinking through like the top influencers, then I would be really concerned for her. But it did concern me with the way that the influencer talk with her and Chaz went. Because I'm with you, Sasha, on Raven and Sam, but I am on the fence on Chaz.
Ooh.
Like, he said, "Oh, I'm going on facts, not feelings." No, you're going off the same thing that Raven's going off of. You both have a relationship with
both
them.
these two were getting duped by catfish and trying to argue with the other one that they were
And
right.
I loved
both
it.
y'all fell for a sob story.
Yes.
Listen, your faves don't have to be perfect. Stop putting perfection on faves. Why do I like them? Because they're silly. I was like, wake up, geniuses. Like, none of y'all make sense. Everything you're saying is hot garbage, and I love it because you have conviction.
One of the more interesting parts about the show for me still is those influencer chats when they disagree, and the ways that they try to strong arm the other person into going with what they want. And like the kinds of techniques that they'll use. So like Chaz was kind of like, oh, well, my side has facts because more people agreed that Brittany was bad than Bruno was bad. So he was able to sort of use that social pressure to put more onto Raven. I think Raven also is somebody with like a big heart. She feels bad about rating people sometimes. And so I think there's maybe a little bit more of sort of like an instinct to sort of offload the guilt of having to block somebody. If it's Chaz pushing really hard, then I don't have to feel as bad for him making the decision. Potentially. And so like you see that Chaz was able to like really just like push this onto Raven. And so like seeing these kinds of interactions is always interesting in the way that the dynamics develop.
Yeah, it's just like both of them got duped in the exact same way, where first we saw Chaz talk to Bruno and he's like, his whole thing was like, you're not giving me anything, you're not opening up. And then it was like the most basic, like, I guess I never believed in myself and I guess I just don't like myself. He's like, yes, thank you, this is what I've been waiting for.
Drama porn, I love it. Like, it was weird. I'm sorry, I agree with you, Rob. I felt like, I'm stereotyping, so this is on me, but I don't know that a man would just like outright be like, I didn't believe in myself when I was modeling, versus I feel like a woman, at least, again, I'm gender stereotyping, I know, but I feel like I would have been like, you're a catfish. Bye. Like, you tried it.
Well, it's like a weird thing, right? That the show kind of cosigns, that is, you need to like open up your vulnerabilities to us or we will kick you from our social circle. like if you don't share all of your like deep dark secrets and vulnerabilities. I was like getting flashbacks to Big Brother 24. Like whoa, why is this such, like, I get that you need somebody to like participate and have a personality to a degree, but when it got so transactional of like, you need to tell me something like vulnerable, I was like, whoa, this is weird.
Yeah. I think that the way around this for the catfish, and I think that where you see somebody like, the Sams of the world succeed, it's like, okay, if you are like giving sort of like a very like vanilla personality, like and you don't like, you aren't like sharing like these like other like traumas or other things like in one-on-one conversation, I think that you need to have like a really big personality and not just sort of like, oh, I'm shy, like, why are you here? Or like, why did they put a person with no personality on the show? It doesn't make any sense. Where Sam comes out and she just like has all of like these wild comments, I think she comes across as very authentic because she's just so weird.
Yeah.
I think
And I
also
mean
like
in a
you
good
need,
way.
you need to be able to share strategically as well. Like if you're not sharing personally, you need to at least like when we saw Brittany, like I don't want to name any names, you're going to use it against me. Like you need to be able to participate in the strategy of the show at least and give them that. But I agree. I think that somebody like Sam has such a boisterous personality that that like her like without opening up, she just still seems like she's giving Sam. Like she has that kind of energy. And I don't think you feel like Sam is gonna be like a liar because she talks about poop angels. You know what I mean? Like nobody that talks about poop angels is like gonna care enough to lie to you.
In
that
fairness,
much, right?
nobody else has ever talked about poop angels. That's an original term that has never been said before.
Thankfully, she did not share that with the group, just with America and Netflix. God.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just weird though. Like I definitely do see that. Like you have to have a big personality. If you don't have a big personality, then you need to be vulnerable. It's like super vulnerable. And it's just like, no, like if I match with someone on Bumble and the third thing they say is, yeah, you know, when I was a child, da 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 da. Okay, this is too much. No, you're going to talk about that. Let's talk about that on a first date, in person, over
Not a
FaceTime.
First date.
Maybe.
What are you doing on first dates?
If it's like a 3-hour first date.
Aysha's a good interviewer, Sasha.
You get past if y'all have been communicating enough leading up to the first date, you get past the basics. We're not talking about favorite colors in person.
Don't bore me with my favorite color, but like if you're like dumping your like here's what happened to me in my childhood on a first date, no, I will maybe help you find the nearest therapist to you, and you will go there because guess what? I will never be that for you.
I think there's a difference between dumping and sort of like sharing something.
No,
right?
No.
No, I think so. I think
it's different if you're like, hey, I grew up with divorced parents, right? That's a different conversation than like being like, so I had to shuffle between houses and it was really a big struggle because my, dad didn't call me. Like, no,
I think that's
it's not
dumping and the other sharing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So here on Circle, they want you to be like, my dad didn't call me enough.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying. And that on a first date, trash. Don't do it.
And over text, absolutely not.
No,
I don't want to have any serious. I don't want to have any serious conversation through text, and that's all they're asking for on the Circle.
And really, and this is the equivalent of like these conversations were sort of like, hey, like it's not working, and it's like, oh wait, hold on, and let me now give you these very traumatic stories.
It's too much.
It's a lot.
It's unnatural. The Circle shouldn't just be unnatural,
Yeah. And so ultimately we saw where Brian was able to win Raven over. And so we had Raven and Shampoo Poppy going back and forth over who to save. I really was hoping that they would have saved Brian. I wanted Brian to stay. Like I felt like that, he wasn't doing a great job as Brittany, but I thought he was at least bringing like more to it than Billie Jean as Bruno, who I just felt like was nothing. Yeah,
I think like the fact that everybody dumped on Brittany in the game made me feel like it was going to be Brittany. She was just the easier choice. And it was more socially acceptable, and I agree though. I think Brittany was giving us more.
Yeah. So kind of a bummer. We see where Brian goes to go visit Raven. Raven, didn't mind being catfish. They had a connection. Okay, great. Was there any piece of information that Brian passed along to Raven that we think was important?
Honestly, I think the biggest thing is just confirmation that Brittany did not do Raven's dating profile, where Brittany would probably have been like one of the prime picks that people might have believed. And now if you're Raven or anybody else trying to figure this out, it's like, okay, it definitely wasn't Brittany, which means it basically either had to be Bruno or like one of the new people, because you don't really believe it's one of the people in your alliance, probably, unless you get really paranoid.
Okay. One other big headline, and then we'll talk about the activities we saw over this week. Shuby pops in. Return of Shuby. How are we feeling about Shuby, the first All-Star to come back?
Is it weird for anybody else that he wasn't included in the initial cast?
Right? I agree.
It's like they're trying to let other people have their shine on their own season and then plop him in as a twist. But I'm very excited to see him. I think he's going to start to make, or he's going to make other players start to think strategically who weren't already. Like, oh wait, I didn't think about the fact that, like, if he's talking to Raven, I didn't think about the fact that me and Chaz we're both at the top, continuing, like, we both keep being at the top, that we need to, maybe I should start to rate him lower. So I hope that Shuby does start to, like, plant some seeds with, like, the right people, not not the right people, but the people that I'm rooting for.
I do think that the reason why they put Shuby here in this spot is because I think they felt like that they could still, like, they did promote Shuby, that he was going to be part of the season, and that I think that if you really do like Shuby and you were going to make sure you come back for week 2 because Shuby just showed up. Oh, how's this going to change everything? And, obviously, like, how is Shuby going to play? What's he going to be? So I think that this was like their big cliffhanger going into week 2.
I think they need a second week boost. So it makes sense, right? The first week you're like, oh, it's a new season. I'm excited. I'll watch it. And then second week you're like, well, maybe I just come back for the finale. So now they're like, great, we'll give you Shuby. So you'll come back.
It's interesting. We've never had a returning player on the Circle.
Yeah.
Historically on Survivor and Big Brother, if you throw a returning player in with a bunch of new players, they do really well, even if they weren't very good their first time around. I don't think it'll work that way for the Circle, but it'll be interesting to see, like, how Shuby acts in the Circle with the experience of having been there before.
Yeah, the closest we've had is Ed's brother. And I don't even remember if Ed was the guy who played the second season or Ed was the guy with his mom.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I don't know who, but yes.
I think you missed last season when we had Trevor, like the actual Trevor, who was the husband of
Delisa's husband. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And he was actually really good because he had, like, I think a lot of notes from his wife.
A catfish.
Yeah.
And he catfishes their friend. And he still did really well. So, but Frank, I have to say, won last season, and he was constantly an influencer, like almost every time. So that's why I'm not so scared for the influencers this week, or this time, because it seems like that might be the new trend.
Do y'all think he's gonna play as himself?
I don't think that it's possible. I think that he's going to be somebody else.
Let's see.
Because if he's himself, they would think, oh, this is a catfish. Can't be Shuby, right?
Yeah. And I think there'd be, like, a lot of questions about the Circle and stuff like that. So I think it would probably lead to a lot of conversation that they couldn't use if Shuby was playing as himself.
You're like, when did they fly you out last time?
Yeah. Like, so do you get a lot of Instagram followers after this is over?
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I would be surprised if Shuby plays as himself coming into next week. I think that he will be a catfish. But do you think
I think that makes sense.
Would you think he will reveal himself? Like, hey, it's me. I'm actually Shuby.
I hope not.
It's me,
Come
Shuby.
on.
Yeah.
No.
Hey, do you remember that guy from season 1 called Shuby? What did you think of him?
And then if they're like, well, wait, which guy? And they're like, remember the guy. The best.
He was like he was the star of the season 1.
Beloved character.
The South Asian, because where are the Asians this episode and this season?
They're like, never have watched The Circle.
Yeah, that's probably the problem. Oh my God.
Well, trust me, he was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So Shuby is here. And do we think that Shuby is going to be more likely to end up fitting in with the like Raven, Shampoo, Poppy, Marvin contingent, or is he more likely to partner up with some of the outsiders like the Brett / Xanthi and Tom of it all?
Please, Shuby. Don't make me fight you.
I feel like I mean, look, I think this is colored a little bit by the preview.
Yeah.
But it definitely seems like he is going in a little more strategic, which makes me think he's gonna sort of join the resistance.
I think so too.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's the only place there's room for him. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
Shuby, you gotta go. You had your time.
Right?
Mhm.
That's the
It's
only
been
way I
real.
see it playing out too. Because he's gonna say like, "Hey, if y'all don't get it together, these people are just gonna ride it to the end, and we're gonna get picked off one by one." Like,
And what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
what
And
about
I
it?
guess if Shuby comes in to sort of like, take out Raven, take out Shampoo Poppy, take out Marvin, is the rule on the circle that you leave the circle a hero or keep coming back enough times to eventually become the villain?
that's the rule of reality TV, Rob.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do it. Don't do it, Shuby. I
If
know it's
he's
already happened.
responsible for Raven being blocked, I might unfollow him.
Oh, you heard it. Okay.
And I follow a lot of people.
Listen,
Mhm.
as South Asians, like I know I have to like really ride for them when they come on, but like no, right? If they really, as a known person that hates underdogs, I refuse to let Shuby ruin this for me. I
Mhm.
refuse.
Okay. Could be interesting going into week number 2. Let's talk about some of the activities that we saw this week. If there were any hits or any misses, I guess let's start with the positives. Taran, did you feel like that there were any activities that you felt like really worked this week?
Man, the activities kind of fell flat for me for the most part. Even the dating profile, like I'm usually like, okay, we got an anonymous one, but I feel like the format was so restricted that like the best they could do was like shady.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they could list like 3 adjectives and they couldn't even come up with 3 for Ravens. It was like shady, like mean and like fun. Like they had like one that was like actually positive.
Mm-hmm. I think she was like, was she disloyal?
Disloyal was in
Yeah.
the bio or whatever.
The bio, right?
Which I thought was a reference to the infidelity question. And I think if they had made that more obvious, it would have been even more so like, oh, a new player couldn't have known that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah.
What was the name of the app? Aysha, was Single Pringle?
What was it? Single as a Pringle or single? I think it was Single Pringle actually.
Mm-hmm.
I just added as a
Single Pringle.
Which
Pringle
it doesn't even make sense because Pringles notoriously come in a can. Almost you never have it, and really that the whole slogan of Pringles is that you can't eat a single Pringle. Once you pop, you can't stop.
Well, maybe that's the why it exists. It's like it's like I'm so good. You just
It's once you swipe, you can't stop swiping.
No, the thing is that you were so bad at being single that you're a single Pringle, which literally doesn't exist, but you, the unicorn, does.
Yeah.
We got Lay's, we got Pringles.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Lay's would be another app, different app.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that's on Big Brother.
Yes, yes.
Okay. I did think this was the best of the activities that they did over the course of the week. Any other standouts?
Why was Truth or Dare so confusing? Like it took me 2 rounds to understand. Okay, the one person has to give a truth or dare. Then the person that did that has to, like, whoever they
give
name
it to somebody.
has to
Yeah, pass it.
When do you pass out a truth or when has anyone ever played that way? Like, why?
No.
How are those?
That's not a real way to play it. It's just a circle being annoying.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the thing that fell flat for me is that there weren't a lot of elaborations or like fallout from any of these things. Like like the truth or dare thing, like there was no conversation after. There's no confrontation after the dating profile thing. I felt like there was no confrontation whatsoever. It was just kind of like, oh, okay, that was mean. Next, you know, like,
and it wasn't even that mean. Please.
Yeah.
Okay. Nathan in the chat says they do it in Total Drama Island, so maybe they borrowed it.
Need to catch up.
Yeah. How about this instead of a catfish on the next season of The Circle? What if like Chat GPT plays as a person? Taran, what do you think about that? Would you think that the other players would be able to identify an artificial intelligence playing?
Well, here's the problem. Every other sentence would start as a language profile or whatever. Like,
yes.
So annoying.
I can't answer any romantic questions, so please don't ask me if I'm single.
I think it would be good.
I think that would be fun, actually. No, I think that would be a very trendy sort of way to twist up a new season.
Yeah. Maybe also could they let like a real famous person play, like not from The Circle, just like from their house?
Oh yeah, like why do you have to be there? Oh, I guess all the meeting and stuff.
Oh, we gotta go meet in person. Like whatever.
I mean, they got the Spice Girls. They can get anyone.
They could get anybody if they got the Spice Girls.
Yeah. Are you kidding me? Scary Spice and Baby Spice showed up. I would truly have a breakdown if they came to my.
I mean, the show Staged with David Tennant and Michael Sheen gets a ton of like celebrity cameos because they literally just do it on Zoom. So I feel like you could absolutely get some celebrity Circle cameos.
When you said Spice Girls, Sasha, my first thought was My Spice Girls, and I
would love that. But they'll come with you when you get on The Circle.
Right. Pepper and cinnamon. That's what they need. They need two pets.
More pets.
That'll really spice it up.
No, I think they should bring in like a Marshawn Lynch.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, he would be amazing.
He was very good on Murderville, and so he's already in the Netflix cinematic universe.
Exactly. Listen, all I'm saying is, imagine you're talking to Marshawn Lynch, and maybe Marshawn Lynch as a catfish, and I think I would.
You could wear the feast mode shirt.
Oh Lord. Imagine. I'm just here so I don't get fined.
We also had the activity where you had to post wild pictures, which some of the catfish really struggled with. Again, we didn't really learn a lot other than the catfish stunk, but it was, a moment.
Yeah. So Bruno, by the way, and they pointed this out on the show too, that like he's a model and every photo of his is like, and like, she posts 2 pictures of Bruno as her initial profile that are the same picture with his head tilted a slightly different way. And listen, I'm one to talk. Very realistic for a guy, maybe. But I'm not a model, so maybe not. But then her wild photo was also just like the same expression, the same pose, just like slightly more risky clothing. And it was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I like it when the catfish is like some relation to the other person. Like, is Billie Jean, do they know Bruno at all?
Well, clearly the Circle
they
knows
don't talk
Bruno.
About Bruno. Yeah.
Because Bruno did the introduction. He was there filming. So I'm like, why are we not getting the relation? Is she just a random model that she was able to use his pictures and they could get a hold of him? Because usually if it's a random person, like if we think of like a River, we just never meet the person. We just see their pictures.
Yeah.
Imagine Bruno is also just leftover UK casting person. They were like, all right, we are going to use you. Oh, great.
Oh, his name is very SEO friendly from people like Encanto.
Oh, God.
Let's keep him. Let's hold on to him. We could do something with him.
It does say on Wikipedia that Bruno is her ex. But I don't remember that being in the show. But Zeem in the chat says that they saw on the show.
I don't remember that. Bruno. Okay. Do you think that it's
Okay, Spice.
Pepper was very upset about that.
Does like it. Sasha, do you think there's anything psychologically about like playing as your ex? Like maybe if people are liking Bruno like too much, you're like all right, like I'm not that great of a guy.
Yeah, that's the
I
thing,
do have
right?
some flaws.
Did my ex do me dirty, or are we friends? Because if they did me dirty, guess how I'm going in? Super douchebag.
Yes.
I'm talking to every girl. I'm just
Oh.
gonna besmirch his
Maybe
name.
that's why it says shampoo poppy. It was even like I actually have to confess something. I'm actually not that good at being a model. Like I'm actually
Poppy
very
is
ugly
bad.
on the inside.
That's what I'm saying. There's the only way that makes sense, because I wouldn't personally want to like deal with ex drama, or unless you're trying to get back with them. But I end it. It's clean. I can go as my brother. I don't have one, but I'm just saying, as a cousin. I don't know.
I know. I feel
Someone.
like this is the way to do it. Is that you play Bruno as a better version of himself than he is. Like I'm a better
What
you
you
than
want
you
him
are.
to be? Oh,
And like we barely see Billie Jean. Like we can probably, somebody mentioned in the chat, like how many times was she actually on the screen? How funny would that have been? All the references, like, oh, when we dated, he wasn't good at this, but I'm going to say he's good.
That would give her a storyline. Yeah.
I forgot her name was Billie Jean until
I didn't
this
know her
podcast.
name was Billie Jean until this podcast.
Yeah. I suspect she might be the next person to go. I think that she's not going to survive this blocking and then bounce back. I think that probably she's not long for this world anyway.
I
don't know. I feel like she could squeeze by. I mean, like we're not getting much of where she is strategically. I think is actually pretty good because she's now attached to Chaz, who's at the top of the pile, and there's a bunch of new people who are like fresh fodder. So she could theoretically stick around for a while.
Like not to do too much like amateur edgic like trailer reading. I feel like that we saw like a lot of new people showing up, and I don't remember seeing much more from Billie Jean / Bruno in the trailer.
Yeah, I did notice that. I noticed that, and I also noticed I didn't see a lot of Brett and Xanthi either.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, blessed. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Where do you think we go from here?
I hope it heats up. I mean, I will say that preview looked like it could get interesting, which is what I'm into. I feel like the strategy portion starts to feel like it actually matters in the second batch of episodes because we're really whittling it down at that point, and we usually go to war, which is always a good time. And
it's always a good time to go to war.
Yeah.
That's what they
say. So I feel like I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
Hope they didn't show all the good parts in the preview.
Oh yeah,
that's all I have
definitely
to
possible.
Did anyone notice that this means, based on the preview, Brett will once again be a part of a season with a hacker?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
He can't escape it.
Yes.
So we haven't talked much about Marvin, who, really, I thought he did get a lot of airtime here. And, Taran and I got to talk about a little bit the other night. Aysha, how you feel about Marvin?
I think, like Sasha, you said, the circle is the perfect place for him. The more we learn about Marvin and how he is on this show, I'm so glad that was, that did not happen with Big Brother. But I am enjoying watching him on the circle. It's so funny. He seems like naive and just kind of taking things how they come, which makes him seem like innocent and just kind of like, oh, he's sweet. I wasn't expecting this, showmance with Raven. I was like, okay, Marvin, Raven, I can get with it. And the little the little lesson, the American Sign Language lesson she gave him, that was so sweet.
That was
fire.
That was the only flirting conversation that I actually enjoyed because it wasn't just like dumb flirt. She was like, it was like actually a cute moment. Is their ship name Marvin?
Oh.
Or is it Raven?
Oh, because that translates well on Twitter because the E, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
Also, I mean, talking about the preview, are we about to see this come crashing down? Is Marvin gonna come crumbling down? Is Marvin gonna
Marvin is
two-time?
for the streets, baby. Raven, we got to cut him loose. Unless he's like gonna at least rank you high because he feels sad for you, then we keep him around. But or not sad, not for you, but for what he did to you. Otherwise, for the streets, leave him in the streets. Because boy, Marvin is so funny. Like, I don't understand him. He's like, Brett was my bro. I can't believe Brett
He
is
gets
out.
shredded.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
Shredded.
And then when Tom did the like, I'm nervous, I can't type, and the at least the edit gave Marvin like 10 seconds until he actually figured out what was going on. Just bless Marvin's heart. Like, he's so lost.
Yeah. He seems easily amused, Marvin.
Yeah. Bar is low.
He's got a great attitude.
Yes. We like that. Anybody else we want to highlight from this cast that we haven't given their due here today? Have we talked enough about Sam?
And her slippers.
We can talk more.
Yeah, because I felt like that Sam was in trouble early on, but I think that Sam has really found her footing.
I feel like that last place rating was a great place to start. Having not been blocked, 2 people leave. Like, now she gets to start in this foot of like, hey, I'm just slowly climbing the ranks. The only issue is that Marvin still like hates her.
Yeah, get over yourself, Marvin. No, I feel like Sam is how I would play the game. So I really like her, but she's so wild. My favorite was when she's, she was nicer about how her profile was given. She was like, that stung a little, but it's okay. And Chaz is like, look at my wife. She gets it. She's so much calmer now. She's not going off on them. So growth.
Yeah. Sometimes when Sam, like, she's like thinking, she has like the super long fingernails, and then she's like it's like it's basically like the she has like the spinning pinwheel of like processing.
Sam is everything you want on the Circle because she has no filter. She is just genuinely who she is. And so you're getting these like genuine sort of reactions and feelings. And then you can see that she will sometimes filter herself when talking to other people, but you're always getting like her genuine self, which is like exactly what you want for this show.
But what's frustrating is that we can watch this and we know immediately like who is going to be good casting for the Circle and who is not good casting for the Circle. This is the 5th one of these. How do they not know who's going to be good and who's not going to be good for the Circle?
Call the UK cast, people, because boy, that cast hits every time. Let me tell you, so much fun. And even a catfish won the UK season, and they were so enjoyable. And it was so unfortunate that they won, but I don't know. I just feel like who's casting these shows? Let me call him.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else from week 1 of the Circle that we want to highlight here?
No.
Questions from the chat? Okay. This is 4 nights of the Circle are down. We still have week 2, week 3, and then we come back for the finale. Correct, Taran? That's the format?
Yeah. We'll get three batches of do we get a full 4 batch on the 3rd week, or is it a 3 batch?
I feel like it's
I think it's just one episode 13.
Yeah, it's just a finale episode on January 18th.
Well, basically, is it 13 or is it 12?
It's
I
13.
think it's 13. Okay, yeah.
And then we'll come back for the finale. Otherwise, we're optimistic for going into week number 2.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's got the materials, it's got the ingredients, some good casting.
It have the juice.
It's got the juice. It's ready to be juiced.
Oh God.
Yeah. What are they saying on the Twitter streets, Sasha, about the Circle season 5?
The faves are faving, of course.
Mhm.
And I think people are genuinely surprised that they're liking the cast. I think that was a big thing I saw on Twitter, because when I tweeted about my Holy Trinity, I mean, people were jumping. They were like, exactly correct. No lies detected. So I feel like for now, people are even enjoying Marvin, but Raven is the front runner, right?
Raven's
Like
the front runner.
Raven's
It's
videos are
obvious.
everywhere. And
Mhm.
we didn't talk about the iconic video that is making rounds on Circle, but where Chaz saying, "How can you be annoying and boring at the same time? Pick a
Mhm.
struggle."
Pick a struggle.
And truer words have not been spoken.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right, well, I guess this is a good spot to leave it as we get ready. We'll have another Circle Roundtable coming up next Friday when we take a look at the second week of the Circle. Until then, Aysha, what's coming up for you?
Yeah, so I've been on hiatus with Married at First Sight. Season 16 is back. They have started with the matchmaking special and the kickoff special, but the real show starts with the premiere on January 4th. So my co-host Jason Reed and I will be back to talk about season 16 of Married at First Sight over on a Perfect Match podcast on the Love at First Sight feed. Definitely go subscribe to our feed. Leave us, if you've listened, if you haven't listened, leave us a rating and review. No, if you've listened, leave us a rating and review, 5-star rating and review. We're very excited to get started. We have our Facebook group that has been very active through the off season. So we've been keeping up to date from past couples and getting ready for this season. So it's a fun time. Even if you don't watch the show, you would enjoy the podcast. So yeah, outside of that, really, that's the only thing I have coming up. You can follow me on Twitter at Aysha like Aysha. That's Aysha like ASIA. And then I have a lot of free time right now. So if you like puppy content, follow my TikTok at Malshipoo Sisters. That's where my dog Pepper and Cinnamon, they're both Malshipoo, so Maltese Shih Tzu Poodle, 2 years apart. That's where I just put out some of their content. So if you just want to smile, just go take a look.
Okay.
Do you think your dogs could play a circle game?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Anyone can, right?
Yeah.
Not well, but yeah, anybody can. Yeah.
Aysha will be the interpreter. It's fine.
Yes.
Mhm.
Because
Okay.
I know exactly how they sound.
Of course.
Well, Aysha, great getting to podcast again, and yeah, good. Enjoy the time off and the all the dog content.
Thank you.
All right, Sasha, what's coming up for you?
Yeah, I cover a weekly Mess Magnets podcast. It's about celebrity gossip. Honestly, vibes only, whatever we feel like. Sometimes it's celebrity gossip. Sometimes it's reality TV gossip. Sometimes it's just people being annoying. All of the above. So if you enjoy Kirsten McKennis or me or us together, check out Mess Magnets at Rob Has a Podcast /Mess Feed. And we just did a year in review where we recapped all the hot mess that was 2022. Honestly, forgot so much of it, but we're back. And listen, this was a messy year. Really messy. And we also have merch. So if you want to be part of UMess, go grab your merch on the shop for RHAP and for and I was on Nothing But Netflix with Rob and Chappelle, or that will be coming out.
Yeah, so
later.
that we recorded that podcast earlier today. It's going to go up on I think on Sunday night. That we're going to kick off the new year talking about The Recruit. We watched all of season 1. It's been one of the top TV shows on Netflix over the last couple of weeks. Sasha recommended it. Watch the whole thing.
It was really good. Honestly, we are all raging, but happy raging on the show. So you definitely want to check out that episode when it comes out. And for everything else, just follow me on Twitter at funsize_04.
Okay. Great job today, Sasha.
Thank you.
Taran, what's coming up for you?
Find me over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong. I'm watching these episodes of The Circle on Twitch. You can watch with me. And have a good time. We sync them up and we watch together and we react to the weird flirting. So you can come hang out and do that.
Do you dance party when they dance party?
Always dance party, Rob.
Mm-hmm.
Is that even a question?
Yeah. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah. So find me over there. It's a good time. And on Twitter at Armstrong Taran. Got a bunch of other stuff coming up too, like some Last of Us coverage. Yeah.
Okay.
Find the stuff.
All right, Taran, great job. And of course, had a fun podcast yesterday with Mike Bloom. We did the 2022 All-Stars. We did a Big Brother Brand Steele with the All-Stars of 2022 from Pop Culture. If you want to check out that wild ride, that's up at robbinswebsite.com. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.